Today we will be showing you how to install a new PEX valve onto a PEX supply line. If at any time you feel uncomfortable with the project, please consult a licensed plumber for assistance. Tools and supplies needed for the job are a pail and rag to catch excess water when removing the shutoff valve, PEX tubing cutter used to remove the old valve, PEX crimp tool, PEX crimp ring gauge used to check the size of the crimp, 2 adjustable wrenches for tightening connections, new supply line, and a new shutoff valve. There are 2 general types of water valves used: a multi-turn valve, which requires several turns of the handle to control the water flow, and a quarter-turn valve, which requires a quarter turn of the handle when opening or closing the shutoff valve. We are using a BrassCraft quarter-turn PEX valve for the installation. The package should include a PEX valve body and 1 brass compression ring, 1 plastic compression ring and nut. Installation instructions for the valve are included on the inside of the package. As you can see, we have already removed the old valve and water supply line. Before removing the existing valve, shut off the main water supply. Next, if possible, open a faucet at the lowest point of the dwelling. This could be an outdoor garden spigot or basement laundry tub faucet. This will relieve excess water in the system and reduce the amount of water that will escape once the existing valve is removed. Once the old valve and supply line have been removed, you will need to remove any paint or residue on the PEX tube. Cut the PEX tube so the end is square and free of any burrs or damage or buildup on the surface. Next, slide the crimp ring over the tube and then slide on the PEX valve until the barbed end of the valve is completely seated inside the tube. There will be resistance when you reach the proper depth. Now slide the crimp ring into place approximately 1/8 of an inch away from the end of the tube. This will locate the ring appropriately with the valve. Keeping the crimp tool square to the fitting, squeeze the crimp ring until the tool is closed completely. Follow the crimp tool manufacturer's instructions regarding proper use. Next, check for a proper crimp using the crimp gauge. Since the gauge generally can be used on multiple size tubes, be sure to select the appropriate gauge openings for your application. If properly crimped, the gauge slot marked GO will slide freely over the crimped ring. The gauge slot marked No Go should not slide over any portion of the ring. If the crimp fails the gauge test, the joint must be cut away and replaced. Next, attach the riser which connects the valve to the fixture. Follow the riser manufacturer's instructions for installation. Here we are using a flexible connector with a 3/8 inch compression type connection. In this case, the sealing components are built into the connector itself, so we can remove and discard the compression nut and ring supplied with the valve. Attach the nut onto the riser and tighten the nut according to manufacturer's instructions. Make sure that the valve is in the off position by turning the handle clockwise until you feel resistance. Turn the main water supply back on. Now open the valve. If connecting to a faucet, remove the faucet aerator and turn on the faucet. This will purge air from the lines and also flush through any contaminants. After running the water momentarily, turn off the faucet and check the valve and riser for leaks. If a leak is present at a nut, slightly tighten the appropriate nut. If the PEX joint itself leaks, the valve will need to be cut off and recrimped. Remember to reattach the faucet aerator. The installation is now complete.